You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Need to Know Pod. I'm your host, Chef Sahera, and today we are preparing for the holidays. By the time you hear this podcast, in a few days, it will be Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to come and give you guys some quick tips on how to prep, what you can make, and hopefully make your Thanksgiving one of the best Thanksgivings yet. So whether you're doing the bacon, I'll be doing that. Whether you're cooking the turkey, I'll be doing that. Or if you're just hosting the entire feast, as I am doing that. Or if you're just showing up as a guest. This episode will be your ultimate guide to pulling it all together. So maybe you can take bits and pieces. Maybe you can share it. Listen to this podcast while you are preparing. Ultimately, when I think of the holidays also, I like to have a good playlist. So let me know what's on your playlist as I will share with you some of the things that are on my playlist. Okay, so let's start with preparation. So let's face it, Thanksgiving is one of the busiest times, even though in the store you see everything Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. But this is one of my favorite holidays only because it's all about the food. This brings me joy. Talking about the food, making the food, just thinking, going to the store, the things that we need. So I did my shopping this weekend, So that's part of preparation. Don't go to the store 2 days before because actually a lot of stuff may be picked over and it's just going to be a lot. Like I want to be in the kitchen preparing, cutting up stuff. So let's talk about preparation and what you can do. So we'll break it down into the different things that you can do to prepare as well as what you are preparing. Let's start with something that I like to think I got a little expertise in, and that's the baking department. So let's talk about what can you do ahead of time for your baking needs. So when we think of Thanksgiving, of course, we think of the pies, the cakes, the dinner rolls. So how can we prepare now? So by the time you hear this podcast, you might have a day or two before Thanksgiving. These tips will be helpful for any big holiday, not just Thanksgiving, of course. But so let's just talk about the pies. What can you do now to make it easier for you? So let's just be practical. Most people have only one stove, and your stove is going to be on all day, at least for the next 2 days. So how do you optimize your time? So what you can do now is make your pie crust. Make your pie crust at least by Tuesday. You can make your pie crust on Tuesday. Let's just say we're starting our prep from Tuesday. Make your pie crust on Tuesday. And I would even venture to say you could bake them off the day before. I don't think you should bake your pies. I wouldn't suggest baking pies the day of. The flavors need to set in, and I think they would just be out of the way. And that's one less thing that you have to think about. And your oven is free to bake the other stuff that you need to bake. So we're going to make our pie crust on Tuesday. If all you're doing is making your pies, at least get your pie crust done. So if you're making a sweet potato pie, you can go to my YouTube page, Chef Sahera Speaks, and you can see that I have two different types of pie crust. You have a flaky pie crust. Flaky pie crusts are made for pies that require two crusts, a bottom crust and a top crust. So I recommend using flaky pie crust. If you're buying pre-made pie crust, that's fine. But if you want to make, I suggest making pies from scratch, of course. But you can go to Chef Sahera Speaks and check out my apple pie recipe. In the beginning, it shows you how to make the pie crust, the flaky pie crust. When we make pie crust for just bottom crust, like a sweet potato pie or a pumpkin pie, we call those mealy doughs. So you can definitely go. I do have a video on that as well, but definitely you can prepare your pie crust ahead of time. So that's number one. If you are making cakes, you can make your icings ahead of time. My pound cake, I know I'm going to do a pound cake. I think I'm going to put that in the oven Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I'm going to put that in the oven and let it sit. Fun fact, this is my fun fact. I think pound cakes taste better the longer they sit. I'm going to put my pound cake in the oven tonight. And once it's cooked and it's cooled down and I take it out the pan, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to put it on my cake stand and keep it covered. So all that residual steam that's in there and heat, I'm going to let that stay. And I feel like that moistens up my cake. I believe that with everything in my soul. So I'm going to make my pound cake Tuesday night. And actually, I may just even get my son to make it. He's been making the pound cakes. When I would take orders, he would be the one to make the pound cakes. So he comes in tonight from school. I'm excited to see him. So hopefully he can make my pound cake tonight as I let my ingredients sit. So just quick note, when you are making a cake, make sure your ingredients are at room temperature, your dairy ingredients. In terms of pie crust, your butter always needs to be cold. So whether you're making a mealy dough or a flaky dough, your butter needs to be cold. Okay, so that takes care of it for the baking. So yes, I am making my pies, my pound cake. What I will say is part of baking is when you make your dressing. Some people make dressing, cornbread, stuffing. If you want to make cornbread from scratch, I would suggest make your cornbread ahead of time so it can dry out slightly. Don't make cornbread the day of. You want your cornbread to dry out. I would even say once you make it, let it sit out overnight uncovered, just so it can dry out a little bit. Also, the way I make my cornbread, I typically don't make cornbread stuffing. I remember at the shop, a guy used to come in. I had one customer who would order a pan of cornbread so he can make his cornbread stuffing. Okay, so now let's talk. Let's talk the sides. Let's talk how we can prep for our sides before we get to the big thing, which is the turkey, right? So for the sides, one of the big things that everybody makes is the macaroni and cheese, of course. And how can you prep for that? You can actually make your macaroni ahead of time. Mac and cheese takes time to bake. So let's think about the time that we need because the turkey is going to take a lot of our oven time. What can we do now that won't interfere with our oven time? I wouldn't suggest baking your macaroni and cheese now, but what I will suggest is that you make it now. You can make it up. There's so many different ways to make macaroni and cheese. And look out for that. I guess at some point I'm going to do a macaroni and cheese video. I don't make it as often as I used to, so I will try to record it when I make it this time. But you can grate your cheese now. Grate your cheese now. However you make it, make up your macaroni. I start with my cheese sauce. Some people mix their noodles with their cheese. I don't. I do layers. I'll do noodles, a layer of noodles, shredded cheese, and then I put my cheese sauce on top, and then I repeat, rinse and repeat. I use sharp cheese, extra sharp cheese. Sometimes I use a little mozzarella. I use a little American cheese. But like I said, everybody makes their cheese sauce different. Everybody makes their macaroni and cheese different. So however you make it up, put it in your pan and let it sit in your refrigerator. Also, part of preparation is making sure you have enough room in your refrigerator for all of these things. So just think about that. So give your refrigerator a deep clean, stuff that you aren't using or has been sitting in there for a while, throw away so you can definitely make space for the stuff, for your Thanksgiving stuff, right? You definitely need room, especially if you're going to be prepping now. So that's the macaroni and cheese. What's another good thing? One thing you could bake ahead of time is your candied yams. Again, people make it so different. I make mine's different. I start cutting them up. I boil them just so they're a little tender. I don't want them to be fork tender. Then I transfer them to a baking dish, stick it in the oven and bake. Candied yams taste better once all the flavors has sat in. So I don't want to make that the day of. I don't mind warming it up, but I will make that ahead of time. What else can we make ahead of time? Your vegetables, right? Collard greens. I know we like collard greens or whatever vegetable you're going to make. If you're going to make green beans, string beans, I think vegetables taste better the next day, of course. So for the collard greens, if whatever kind of meat you're using, boil your meat, set that aside. But I'm going to probably, it takes a long time to cut those greens. Some people buy them already cut up. I don't like the stem, so I'm going to take my stem out. But start now by boiling your meat, however you make it. I boil my smoked turkey and necks or whatever I have. I start boiling that now, seasoning that because I'm going to use that. Yeah, I'll use that. And then when I'm ready for my greens, that's something that's out of the way. By the time you cut and clean, that should already be done. So I make a potato salad. Now, this is just a prep. So whatever you're going to do, one thing I would definitely suggest is cut up your vegetables now. If you need onions, cut up 2-3 onions for your dressing. I know you use onions and celery. I've already cut up my onions and celery. If you need onions for your vegetables or garlic, cut that up and put them in little containers. Set that to the side. So it's just one less thing that you have to do. All about the prep work, right? Mise en place, right? Everything in its place. What else do we have to make? Some people make cranberry sauce from scratch. Some people just buy the can. Cranberry sauce you can make ahead of time, of course. Let that flavor set in. And cranberry sauce is not that hard to make. It's just a matter of some sugar, boiling it down. You might want to put a little orange zest and the zest of the rind of a lemon, not a lemon, the rind of an orange in there, and just kind of let that cook down. Let those flavors melt. Really, so Thanksgiving, the only thing you really want to make is like the turkey, right? You have time Thanksgiving, the day of, you're going to be preparing, you're going to be getting your house straight. My husband is my store runner, so any last minute things that I need from the store. So I've learned, because I don't want to hear his mouth, that everything try to make a list, because if he has to go to the store on Thanksgiving, he's gonna have a fit. So I really just try to make actually this year what I did, I made a shopping list, and I broke my shopping list down in terms of everything I need from my produce aisle, everything I need from the grocery aisle, my taxable aisle, like my pans, my kitchen gloves, my whatever I need from like the aisle that sells paper towels and stuff. I got my beverage aisle. What drinks are we having? So I broke that list down. So yeah, the produce aisle was really good because we was able to get everything down. So just a little suggestion for you. Okay, so let's talk about the turkey. Well, I've been brining my turkey for 15 plus years. Even before I went to culinary school, I saw a recipe on like Food Network, and I've been brining my turkey for years. In culinary school, I remember I asked my chef his take on what makes a great turkey. And off the bat, he said, use a brine. And I was using it before culinary school, but when I tell you I use a brine every year, and you won't go, I've never tasted a turkey so juicy. You can't go wrong with a brine. Does it take a lot of work? If you're going to brine your turkey, you need to do it. Tuesday is absolutely, I would say, the last day that you should brine your turkey. If you're going to do it the day before, you can. You can. I like my turkey to sit overnight. And the brine is just really some salt. You definitely want to use kosher salt in your brine. There's so many different recipes on TV. Not on TV, I guess like on YouTube or something. You can Google search turkey brine. I've been making it for so long, I already know what I want to put in there. So I know I need kosher salt. I know I'm going to need some kind of sweet aspect of it, whether it's honey or some sugar. And I like fresh herbs. So I'm going to put some thyme. I'm going to put some rosemary, some sage. I love sage. I love rosemary. So that's my suggestion for the turkey. Recommendation for turkey: season your turkey with like an herb butter. Go under that skin with some soft butter. Again, some of that kosher salt. Put your fresh rosemary, put your fresh sage in there, and rub it under the skin. Under the skin. I'm telling you, you will never make turkey. I know people, I don't know if people are still frying turkeys like they used to, but I just can't see myself making turkey any other way. But however you do it, have your vegetables cut up for that as well. So like I said, on Thanksgiving, the day of, you want to make sure that your oven is not being overrun, or you want to make sure that you have time to cook your turkey with no stress. So try to get those things done ahead of time. The things that take the most time to make and create, you should be doing at least a day or two in advance. The turkey, that's another suggestion that I have. Season it the night before and put it in the refrigerator uncovered so that you can have a nice crispy skin. You want that skin to kind of dry out a little bit. I learned that from somebody through the years, and it worked. So let's talk about Thanksgiving Day. What do you have while your guests are coming, while you're preparing? I've mentioned this before. I never really have time for breakfast, but I think something that's good and quick to have is maybe like a muffin available. I'll probably have some muffins out. That'll hold you while you are trying to prepare. And I'm just having my family, so it's not a whole lot of people. But, they start looking at you crazy when it's getting late. I know my mother-in-law they used to eat early. My husband's family, they eat about 3:00. My side of the family, we typically eat around 6-ish, and that's early, and it's really like 7. So My goal is to always try to eat. I'm gonna say between 5 and 6. I don't know if that's gonna work, but now, a big part of Thanksgiving for me is the music. Just definitely the day before and the day of, having that perfect playlist. I'm from the '70s, so I'm a '70s baby. So I like old school music. I like the '80s. I like the '90s. In my playlist, will you find stuff that is from 2020? Probably not. I am definitely a '90s kind of girl, '80s kind of girl. So I'm listening to old stuff. I'm listening to, oh my goodness, what's '90s? '90s is, New Jack Swing. '90s is just old school rap. So I have moments, right? Early in the day, maybe midday, I start taking it to maybe like my hip hop and R&B mixed. That's '90s. That's such a '90s thing. But I like old school '80s. Stephanie Mills, Angela Winbush, who else? Luther Vandross. So those are the kind of things that I'm listening to. Evelyn Champagne King, Tina Marie, Rick James. So that's what you will hear on my playlist pretty much any given day. The playlist was a big part of the shop. You can walk in my shop, and I know people used to ask me like, what station is that? And I was always so proud to say, no, no, no. I put that playlist together. That's my personal playlist. But so the music, I think, plays a big part. What I will say about the turkey, while you take that turkey out and it's resting, this is the stuff that you've prepared ahead of time, would be the perfect time to start heating your dishes up, right? Start warming your dishes up. And for some reason, that gravy is always like the last thing, and it gets me all the time. But you can definitely make your gravy ahead of time. Yeah, you can definitely make your gravy ahead of time. For some reason, it's always the one thing that people are waiting for. So I got to do better for myself. I have to make my gravy. Maybe I'll make that Wednesday. If you are somebody who makes gravy or makes your stock, I start boiling the giblets in the turkey, and I use that juice to put with my stuffing, as well as my, if I have any left over, my gravy. But my goal is to start my gravy. In terms of drinks, I'm not a big drinker. So if people don't know what to bring, if you are hosting and people ask you what to bring, I always tell people to bring something to drink. I'm just funny. Unless I really know that you know how to cook, I don't want to take a chance on people making a dish. I don't want somebody to bring something that I don't eat, or I don't know how well you cook, and then it's just a dish that is just going to sit there. Uh, but I do tell people to bring drinks. This is the time of the year from Thanksgiving throughout New Year's. I like eggnog. I like it spiced. So I like to put a little Kahlua in it, actually. I do like Kahlua and eggnog. Really, really nice. You can also add some cinnamon and nutmeg to your eggnog, or buy some drinks and just have mixed drinks. So I know typically people drink a lot of cider for the holiday. So I'm not big on drinks in terms of what you should drink, or I'm not a mixologist or anything like that. Give me some eggnog with the drink. I'll take like a ginger ale. I'll take like a ginger ale. I don't drink a lot of soda, but I will drink a ginger ale or a cider. So it's not as easy to find cider as you're used to, right? Cider, I don't find that it's as accessible. But maybe. So you let me know what you guys have been drinking. So if you are going to be a guest, ask the host, what should I bring? Sometimes just bringing the drinks, like I said, bringing the drinks, or maybe even just contributing. The cost of food nowadays, maybe just give somebody, I don't know. Is that me? But food is not cheap nowadays. So to host a good Thanksgiving meal or feast, it can be pricey. So if you don't want people to bring stuff, just tell them contribute. I don't care if it's $20. If 5 people are coming over, now you have $100 to add to your shopping list. Because where can you really eat any place cheaper? McDonald's cost about $20, right? So now we're talking about home cooked food, and people are going to want to take plates home. So, or you could bring a bottle of wine to someone's home. Wine is good. Also, as a guest, what you could do is also ask people if they need help because it's a lot. My plan is to have everything organized, but ask if they can help in the kitchen or even just the cleanup. Everybody, I'm not suggesting that you have to help clean up, but just ask, how can I help? I think that's good. Even if the host says, I'm good, I got it. Okay, so let's talk about managing the stress and some mishaps. So let's just say something goes wrong with your Thanksgiving dinner. A dish might burn, a turkey may be dry. Um, Maybe somebody wants to bring up politics. I would highly suggest don't talk politics and at the dinner table or period that day. Uh, um, if your turkey doesn't come out so great, make some gravy, right? Everything goes better with gravy. I would say don't try recipes that you haven't tried before. Go with some recipes that you've tried and you know works. Also, it doesn't have to be so much, right? Go with what works. All right, just a really quick food safety tip for the holiday. Make sure when you start dealing with that turkey that you sanitize everything. We don't want people to get sick. So I try to make sure everything is cleared away before I start making time for the turkey. I don't want dishes in the sink. I use the turkey, so now I have my turkey sitting in my brine. I sanitize my stove, not my stove. I sanitize my sink. I clean it out really good. Use some bleach spray on it, and then I finish prepping everything else that I need to do. Once I season my turkey, I'm going to do the same thing. Clean out that pot that the turkey was sitting in. Sanitize everything once again because this people can overlook with so much going on. You don't want cross contamination, so just make sure when you're dealing with your turkey or any raw meats that you have, put it to the side. Spend time just on the meats alone. I'm never going to do meats and vegetables at the same time. Turkey, clean everything else off. I don't want to see, for me, I don't want to see any evidence or residue that I was dealing with turkey. Food safety is really important, and you want people to have fun, not get sick, and you don't want them blaming you. So that's my quick food safety tip. So thanks for spending part of your day with me as you prepare for the holidays. If you enjoyed this episode of Need to Know Pod with me, your host, Chef Sahera, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with anyone who could use a little Thanksgiving inspiration. Until next time, happy baking and cooking, guys. And I can't wait to catch you in the next episode.
You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you.